There is great hope. Janet Newberry here. Facebook Live is coming to you tonight on our Janet Newberry Educational Consulting page. And I was going to do this Facebook Live for in our private John 15 Academy Premium membership site. But I wanted to give those of you, I'm sitting out by a fire, Doug's building the fire. I wanted to give those of you who are not yet in our John 15 Academy membership a glimpse inside some of the kind of conversations that we have about education and education by design, not default. Our premium membership is designed to support parents so parents can support their children if you're homeschooling. And let me tell you a little bit about how that got started, because I have my very first book coming out. This is the sample copy that I have, Education by Design, Not Default, How Brave Love Creates Fearless Learning. This will be coming out. It's available for pre-order for Kindle right now on Amazon. Paperbacks will be available to order on February 4th. But I spent 30 years in education. In 20 years in public education, a long time in private education, teacher, administrator. I could get kids to pass tests. I could get them to jump through the hoops. But I didn't often see children grow up. I didn't see them enjoying a full and free life. I didn't see them maturing. And I saw some kids who struggled and got better, and I saw some kids who struggled and got stuck. And I wanted to know why. So I'll give you a short summary of my research. I researched in 4 areas: educational philosophy, the phenomenon we call adolescence, neurology and how the brain processes and lives through fear and love, responds to fear and love, and the theology of grace. And that's what this book is about, is how are we created to live, and it really does work, because there is great hope. And when we talk about daily schedules, I'm going to talk to you right now as if you were a member of our John 15 Premium membership group. And this is a conversation that started actually at one of our John 15 Academy retreats. We were sharing these new ideas about education. We were sharing these new ideas about how grace changes everything, including education. And we were talking about daily schedules. And in education by default, we live life by default. And school becomes an agenda. Subjects to check off our list, assignments to complete, grades to earn, and then the rest of our life we're checked out. We want to get our stuff done so that then we can binge on entertainment, then we can do whatever it is that we do once we're finished performing, because that's education by default. It's about performing. Education by design is about living. It's about having a relationship with myself, with God, with others, a relationship with literature, a relationship with science and history and math. It's about developing healthy relationships. Yes, there's work to be done because we're created to be workers, but education by design actually helps us grow up and learn at the same time, which is very different than just education by default, which has the primary target, which is performance. And therein is the summary of my research. When the target is performance, relationships and maturity always get stunted. When the primary target is relationships and maturity, supporting those things, performance, I've never seen performance not go off the chart. And so, hi Jean. Therein lies our challenge. How do we create, if you're a homeschool family, how do you create a schedule that's not just school at home, but it's life at home? How do we give our children the opportunity to grow up and to know how to live a full and free life instead of just get their work done and binge on entertainment? Because life by default is a perform pain relief cycle. I'm good at everything that I'm asked to do, and then I hide behind my phone, I hide behind some form of entertainment. I don't have healthy relationships. I don't know what to do with them. Life by design is full of healthy relationships with a big, broad world. I love to read. I have a good relationship with the things that are even the subjects that are even hard for me. I know how to have conversations. I am hungry to create. I'm alive. I enjoy good music. I enjoy good art because I've been introduced to it in a way that's not about performing, not about getting everything right, but about enjoying it, developing a relationship with it, growing in the craft, growing in my understanding, experiencing life instead of performing at life. And so I'm going to tell you the story of a few years when I worked with homeschool students, and they would come to my house for the school day. These students were about 12, 13, 14 years old, and when they would get to my house in the morning, it was as if we were living life. They would come in, and the first thing we would do is greet each other. Good morning, and say each other's name. Can I just tell you that makes all the difference in the world, to start your day by saying good morning and greeting each other. The next thing that they would do is they knew how to immediately get involved in the life of my home. One of them would put a kettle on for tea. Another of them would feed Rowdy, our dog. Another one of them would water the plants on the back porch, or check on the ones that sometimes needed watering. Somebody would get water for all the students that were coming over. We never used plastic water bottles. We always used real glasses, and so somebody would get ice and water and make sure everyone had what they needed at the table before we started our lesson for the day. Breaks during the day would be about life in the home. Sometimes in the morning we'd all be in the kitchen together chopping vegetables, making a soup that we were going to have for lunch, or that would be in the crock pot until dinner. Sometimes our breaks would be about, one day we made zucchini bread because one of the students' neighbors had lost her mom, and so we wanted to make a gift for that. And so that was how we would start our day. That's how we would take breaks in our day. The subjects in our school day were alternated so that text-driven subjects like history and science and literature were alternated with disciplinary subjects like grammar and math and composition. And so the brain was working on alternating things instead of reading and discussing and having conversations and then concentrating on calculations and grammar and compositions. We would purposely alternate those things during our day. Lunch was relationship. We ate on real dishes. Everyone waited until everyone else was seated at the table, and then a student would say the blessing. We always played Yahtzee during lunch. It just was our traditional game, and it was a good way to kind of fill in the gaps and help the students continue to have conversation with each other. When you're playing a game, it's an easy way to focus on the game, focus on the conversation, tell stories to each other, get to know each other. So Yahtzee was always a part of our lunchtime. Fridays, we would have our subjects during the morning, and every Friday this particular school year, we would enjoy lunch out somewhere. This particular year, I was living in Fort Worth, and one entire semester, we never ate out at the same restaurant twice. This wasn't about getting our schoolwork done so we could go to Chick-fil-A. It was about living life as the real me and learning what I enjoy and expanding my taste. And so we ate at a different restaurant every Friday for an entire semester, and Friday afternoon was about exploring a bigger world. Sometimes we would go to the botanical gardens and enjoy a walk or a painting, or painting in nature in our nature study journals. Sometimes we would go to an exhibit. Sometimes we just bring some of our books that we still needed to read and read them outside at the botanical gardens. Sometimes we'd go to the science museum. Fort Worth is full of beautiful art museums, so we would go there often. I remember we went to the livestock show when the rodeo was in Fort Worth. We saw all the animals on a Friday afternoon. Sometimes we would go to the science museum and enjoy one of the IMAX things, but life was about living in the big world on Friday afternoons. And if you have young children, think about, because that day that I just described was for There was a young girl of 11, there was a girl of 13, there was a boy of 14. I've done a similar schedule with children, boys and girls from 10 to 18 in that schedule. Every day there was some time during the day where we were invited to create, whether it was creating in nature study, creating in handwork, creating in picture study. One day a week we would always write thank you notes, and we would spend some time creating a border or a block letter on our thank you notes. The brain cannot be grateful and anxious at the same time. It's a beautiful gift of maturing and settling our souls when we write thank you notes. And life was about living. Sometimes the room that we were in needed to be vacuumed. Dishes needed to be done. A load of towels needed to be folded. And so when there was a break in the day, when someone finished before someone else, those are the kind of things that we did. When somebody needed help, another student helped them, or I helped them. And so it wasn't about getting my work done and performing. It was about relating well and figuring out which literature book am I passionate about? Which author do I love? What about American history just tugs at my soul? What are we learning about nutrition in our study of science? And am I willing to make changes in the way I eat food? And we had long conversations about these things, because when you are aiming at the target of relationship and the target of maturity, your day is full of conversation. It's full of considerations and questions and lingerings and new vocabulary. And it's not about performing and getting finished first and checking out. If you've got little kids at home and you're homeschooling, think about what I just said in smaller bites. And they won't be doing history right away. When they're 5 or 6 or 7, they don't need to be doing science. Science is nature study and gardening. But think about a morning routine where everyone says good morning, where everyone greets each other, is seen, owns their impact and influence in relationship. Think about helping your little ones excuse me. Think about helping your little ones learn the routine of making their bed every morning, and eating breakfast on real dishes, and cleaning up their place and loading the dishwasher. Think about starting the day snuggled on the couch, perhaps reading your scripture for the morning, or reading your literature story. Think about alternating that schedule by going to your phonics boards and working with your letters and working on letters and sounds, and then going to math. But think about alternating your day with real life and real relationships. If you have any more questions, you can go to janetnewberry.com. You can leave a comment in this Facebook Live video. And this is just a taste of the kind of life that we talk about offering to our students in the John 15 Academy education. So thank you for joining me. I'm going to post this in my John 15 Academy group right now, and maybe one day I'll see you there. There is great hope.